Hey, there's no shame in trying things that people ain't never tried before.
Humans are decision-making machines, always seeking greater efficiency and evaluating other options. We know friendships are transactions, but how do we evaluate those transactions? How do we evaluate our friends, our enemies, people in general? Well, you've been with the channel for a while, so you can probably guess. Risk and reward, just like business. But risk and reward doesn't quite cut it. When you consider risk and reward, you consider putting value in and taking the risk to either get something or nothing. However, when faced with risk, you can not take part at all, in which case it doesn't hurt you. That doesn't work with people. If you remove yourself from a risk, from a transaction, it can't hurt you. But if you remove yourself from a person, they can still hurt you. So they aren't a risk, they are a threat. So we will follow the threat value analysis system. Do not steal. But that's just some groundwork. What do I mean exactly? Well, when evaluating or being evaluated by people, there are two bars. Value and threat. Potential good and potential bad. If there's much to gain, the value bar increases. If there's much to lose, the threat bar increases. These aren't mutually exclusive, though. A person can have both high value and high threat. Think a demanding but well-paying customer, or an annoying but loving family member. These vary and come in degrees, though. For instance, your neighbor won't view your family member the way you do. Your neighbor won't judge value and threat the same way you do. This may look bad to you, but to someone else, even if they realize the threat and the value are off-kilter, they will still accept it. This is what a bad relationship looks like. This is what Stockholm Syndrome looks like. Most people won't, though. Most people will choose value over threat every time. This is likely what your friends look like, or strangers if you're optimistic. The value greatly outweighs the threat. But what's important to note, and why I choose value threat over risk and reward, is that threat doesn't go away, ever, after it establishes itself. This matters because people take this into account. While this may look great to most people, it won't look great to everybody, because that potential threat exists, and you can't make it go away, you can't lower it. This is why I have few friends, not because I'm socially awkward or unlikable, but rather because I cannot ignore threat. If that threat exists, even a little too largely, I pull myself out, because I don't want to deal with threat. But usually that's all I do, excuse myself. Other people take it a bit further, though. Or at least they could. This is what the average stranger looks like to the average person. And this is what you look like to people who don't know you. As an anonymous entity, this is you. Just a blank slate. Now remember, if that threat meter rises, it will never go down. Value doesn't work like that, though. The value meter can go up and come down whenever. Now, this is vital to survival. First impressions are great, but what's more important is keeping that threat value low, keeping it from going up. Because if it does go up even slightly, and you're around the wrong people, you are fucked, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. It's human to confront and stomp out threats, however small. I've encountered this so many times in my life. I didn't understand this when I was a kid, that's why I got bullied. I kept running my mouth about shit nobody cared about, and increased my threat level. All that shit happened in college because, while I was more reserved and careful, I still ran my mouth a bit, and that little bit raised my threat level just a little bit, and that got me into deep shit. And if you haven't considered this stuff, you should, because while you don't need to be everybody's friend, you don't want to be everybody's enemy. I call it fixture living. Your goal is to be a fixture, a piece of furniture, neither valuable nor threatening, so nobody messes with you, or at least appear neither valuable nor threatening. That's the key. Not being neither valuable nor threatening, but appearing neither valuable nor threatening. If you keep your threat low, whatever value you have, even if it's small amounts, it's still highly valuable value because it's easy value. That's how I run my channel. I aggressively keep my threat low, so my little value is the big value. It's kind of a balancing act. If I pump value without considering threat, then whatever threat I generate, no matter how small, will overshadow my value. That's why I do my best to offer you the best content I can, while also not pretending to be your best friend, because I'm not your best friend. I can't be your best friend. And just as well, when I'm confronted by dicks or retards, we get more retards than dicks, fortunately, but retards are still dangerous. They pollute success. I have to confront them and raise my personal threat with them to make them leave without seeming like a dick to everyone else, making everyone else leave. Which is tough, which is really tough. How do you deal with someone being a fuckhead without being a dick right back, while also pissing them off enough to make them go away without scaring anyone else off? It's really tough, boys. Really tough. I have to deal with threatening people and just generally threat-raising situations without seeming threatening. Which is really tough, boys, but you have to deal with it too. This is something not unique to me. You guys deal with this every day. In different ways, obviously, but you know how these videos work. I introduce a concept, walk you through how it applies to me, and then offer some ideas and ask you how it applies to you. Maybe get you thinking about it if you weren't before, because this stuff is important. And even asking over telling, that's part of value threat also. A great way to raise your threat meter is to tell someone about themselves and being dead wrong. That's why I ask you about you rather than tell you about you. Asking raises value, telling raises threat, even if you're right. Telling is only potential threat. Asking is only potential value, because people love talking about themselves. That's why I'm an inquisitive boy. And again, this isn't to say I'm not threatening, or you shouldn't be threatening, or it is bad to be threatening. But rather, I work on a non-threatening appearance, because it is more valuable and it's safer. And it's more conducive to what I'm working towards my goals. And possibly, likely, towards your goals. So it's worth considering. So in summary, we evaluate people with value and threat. Value is all potential good, and it goes up and down regularly. Threat is all potential bad, and once it goes up, it will not come down. And while people perceive and weigh these differently, threat is always dangerous and can easily outweigh value. That's why, while raising value is wonderful, keeping threat low is most important. Not seeming smart, but not seeming stupid. Not being friendly, but not being confrontational, if you get my drift. Appearing those ways. And finally, what do you think? How do you interpret value and threat? Can you deal with high threat for high value? Or are you like me, and the smallest threats outweigh the highest values? Usually. And how do you present yourself? How do you approach people? Do you consider this at all, or do you throw caution to the wind and do whatever? I'd like to hear your perspective, boys. Because the game's name is development, boys. We're all trying to develop here. Be the best people we can be. Or at least, that's right. That's correct. That's pretty right, I'd say. I think. It is. I know it is. That's correct. Yes. And that about rippity wraps this one up, boys. I hope you enjoyed watching it, because I kind of enjoyed making it. It's really cold. My toes are freezing and my nipples are really hard, and it's very uncomfortable, and I'd much rather be under the covers. But, we gotta make that good content, boys. We gotta get that growth. I want to get to 1K so bad. So I did enjoy making it, or I enjoyed what making it represents. It doesn't really represent anything other than making a video, but you get what I'm saying. Like if you enjoyed, because that helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. I really like hearing good perspective, well-presented perspective. It really helps me decide where to take the channel and what type of content to make. Talked a little bit about running the channel and how things operate, but we'll do that somewhere else. This needs to be a pretty focused video, or this needed to be a pretty focused video. Last video was pretty focused. Not the last video, that was the highlights. The video before that was pretty focused. The next video will probably be pretty focused. This one needed to be pretty focused. And then we'll get back to doing whatever. Just want to, get some consistent content down, boys. But anyways, boys, we have a lot of fun on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again in... the future. The future.